Hey everyone, Dr. Shana here. I'm gonna wait for my friend Brandon to pop on, and we are gonna have a live. We're gonna talk about farming and health, the health benefits of farming. I mean, it's sort of obvious, but it does need to be explained in my opinion, because until I spent time in a garden, I didn't really understand the huge benefits that, being outside, being on the farm, doing mundane work. And I really want to hear Brandon's perspective. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I'm just going to wait for my friend Brandon to join, who we met in a business program a couple years ago, and we got to chatting about farming and how it shaped our experiences, and he ultimately has started his own farm, which is really exciting, and I'm really proud of him and excited to connect with him on this topic. We're going to wait for him. Got to have our friend to chat. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining. Any questions about farming or things that Brandon and I are chatting about, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them as they come up. We will hopefully get back to them as well. If you guys are going and we have our little agenda. We've got an agenda. We just mostly want to hit on a couple topics. Brandon. He might not have done a live before, so he might be trying to figure it out. You guys have questions about farming while we're waiting for him? Brandon, here we go. He's coming on. I see him. Fruit to grow. That's beyond my scope. Maybe Brandon. Oh, he declined. He's going to come back. Brandon might have a better answer. It's also definitely going to depend on where you live, how harsh your winter is. Does it get cold, super snowy, really negative temperatures? I know the farmers near me, October 2020, people are still dealing with the repercussions from a hot summer, and then all of a sudden we had it was 80 degrees, and then it was negative 20 or something ridiculous, and it killed a lot of people's orchards. So it's just going to depend on the consequences, how you start. Ooh, that's a really good question. Brandon, we have good questions. Come back here. Here we go. He's coming. He's coming. Brandon. Woohoo, he's coming on. We got a few people that have joined us. A couple people have asked some questions, but I know you probably have some things you want to talk about, just like I do. A couple good questions already, though, that people have asked. Weird. I can't hear you, and I can't see you. Someone in Florida said, how do you get started? So my understanding, my father-in-law lives in Florida, and summer is not the time. It's too hot, right? And actually we came in December a few years ago, and that's peak farmers market season, whereas in Colorado it's cold as fuck. Very few people are growing food in the middle of December, although there's a farm called Flipside in Hotchkiss, and they grow produce on the flip side on off seasons, so that they really have a good niche market. Brandon, I can't see you or hear you at all. Accept. It's not working. Hold on, I need to. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about root gardens starting the fall season. Roots are really good. So let's see, we're trying to make it happen. Why isn't it working? This is really bizarre. Here we go. Ha!
Hey,
Wow,
hey, can you hear me this time?
I can hear you now. Yep, and I'm glad we made it work. Technology's great, except technology does what it does.
Yeah, and you're right. I have never done an IG live, and you guys will have to bear with me. Being out on a farm, we don't have the best of internet service.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I cut out, I'll come back best I can.
Yep.
So just let me know if I'm lagging or anything.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I've got an agenda, but like I just mostly wanted to make sure we talked about these points. But I really want to hear your perspective. We haven't really had a chance to connect in a while, and
Yeah.
we connected about farming in a business perspective when we were doing a program together a few years ago. I want to know what it's like. You moved back to your home state and you started a farm. Tell me about this. How has it been for you?
So just for clarity for people, I have not started my own farm yet.
Okay, good.
So yeah. So for clarity's sake, for the past 3 years, I have been interning on farms. And yeah, I guess I can give you a quick overview of that. I had a farm. I was on a farm out in California. It was a fruit orchard. We had like 670 trees on like 60 acres. It was also a pot farm, which I don't smoke pot, but it was kind of funny that I was there. So it was beautiful. I learned a lot. They were doing regenerative agriculture there also. So man, the fruit was just amazing. Then what you're talking about, I moved back to my hometown. I worked on it was it was cows. We had grass-fed beef. We had pastured pork and something that might be interesting if people don't know about. I worked in the industrial chicken operation too. So it was really Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I had the insights on that if people want to know why I would never eat chicken. Um,
You would
yeah. So it's really
never
interesting.
eat chicken, even farm raised, pasture raised. Like I got a guy here locally in Paonia, Gray Acres Farm, and he does a good job. But
Yeah.
industrial chicken, ooh,
Nah.
Costco pack, ooh.
Nah, not even the organic stuff. Like it's a sham, man. So we
Oof.
can get in more into that. But
Yeah.
anyways, I learned a ton there. I learned even mechanical work, even
Mm.
like how to work with my hands and build. Well, we were building a tiny house there that I was gonna live in. But now where I'm at now, I'm out in Texas actually. I don't think I told you
Oh
that.
no, I thought you were in
Yeah.
Georgia.
Nah,
Sweet.
so I worked there for a year and a half in Georgia, and now I'm out in Texas on a raw dairy goat farm. So
Oh,
we sell raw milk. Yeah, we do cheese. We also have grass-fed, grass-finished beef here,
mm-hmm.
pasture-raised pork, and yeah, that's pretty much everything we sell. But it's a really small homestead, so it's really different. It's 25 acres. We do all kinds of stuff, and but our big thing is raw goat
Oh my
dairy, which is, dude,
gosh.
I drink half a gallon a day, which I'm trying to put on muscle and stuff. So, but it tastes so
Oh
good,
my
man.
God, it's
I don't know if you've
so
ever had
fresh.
it.
I have actually the same guy I get my chickens from. We were doing goat milk shares from him last year. We're on the waiting list now for a cow share locally here in Montrose because we moved about 45 minutes, hour away, which is not far, but it's far enough like to try to get there. Like it's hard on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. That's
So
cool, man. I love that you got that.
oh yeah, I'm a big advocate. And there's this guy I commented and he's like, oh, people that tell you that eating raw dairy is super safe. And then he wouldn't respond to my comment. And I wasn't being a jerk or anything like that. But it's like, if you're going to say blanket statements like that and trust government organizations, you should be willing to have a conversation about it and understand, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
man.
But again, not everybody's open to having a discussion. So if you think that ultra pasteurized, homogenized milk is the way to go, look
Nah.
around. Why do we have so many people that have lactose intolerance then?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, and if you wanted to dive into that, you may know more of the science behind it, but I know a little bit about it and why it's just better for our systems in
Talk.
general, you know?
I'd love to hear about it because I do think a lot of people want to have a probiotic, and I have a colleague that's like, oh, everybody needs probiotics. I vehemently disagree. If you are eating high
Yeah.
quality raw food on a regular basis that's nutrient dense, why? Unless you have
Yeah,
something specific
exactly.
going on.
Yeah, and you're like literally targeting something by using that bacteria to help your body. But
Exactly.
yeah, so I can talk a little bit about the raw dairy. I've learned a lot more since being here. I've been here for no, 3 months now. So anyways, I started drinking raw dairy like a couple years ago when I learned about it and started getting into like stuff like that. But basically, the reason I believe and what I've seen in people that it's healthier is there's a few things to it. So with the raw, one thing I learned is you're still getting the enzymes in it. You're not like destroying the enzymes that help you break down the milk and digest it. And then secondly, you have the good bacteria that's also helping your body and helping with your gut flora and helping you digest. And then a third thing I learned about goat milk specifically is the proteins in it. So when you pasteurize milk, you denature proteins, right? So that makes it harder for you. I don't know the specific science, but it makes it harder for your body to break down. It can cause inflammation. But specifically with goat milk, when the goat milk molecules, the protein molecules, there's something about them being smaller. There's something with that allows people to digest it easier. So say someone on here listening is like, well, I can't even do raw cow dairy. Like I get a reaction. Well, I suggest goat dairy, and that's the reason my boss started this company, because she could not do goat dairy, or cow dairy, I mean. So she started a goat dairy, and voila, she can drink raw goat's milk, and me too. Like I don't do so well on the cows. I learned I get some digestive issues. Goat, like I said, I'm drinking half a gallon a day, and I have like perfect digestion right now. So that's just a little overview basically of what I've learned about raw dairy and kind of the differences.
Yeah, and goat and sheep tend to be more digestible if we have problems with cow dairy. I have understood that A2 Jersey cows tend to have those different proteins that are a little bit more digestible. But generally, I fully agree with you. Goat is more digestible to the average person that has dairy issues. And what Brandon was saying is lactase, which, you take lactate if you have lactose intolerant. Lactase is normally in dairy. But the problem is when we pasteurize, which is high heat to kill. I mean, you don't need milk, but like, do you need coffee? Do you really need, do you need to wear clothes? Like, it's one of those things. It's like, we're all going to live our life a certain way, right? Like someone asked that, and I was like, okay, I have to be a smart ass, why not?
That's you, man.
Yeah, and homogenization I want to talk about for a minute, because that's what they do that denatures the proteins. Yes, heating it is a problem, but it breaks up the proteins into like proteins our body says, I don't know what this is. What is this? I have no idea what this is, so I'm going to react, and there's no digestive capacity, and so now you're reacting to something your body's never seen before, and there's no extra enzymes in there that's normally in there. It's like a double whammy of like, you're going to lose with the dairy. And I don't think everybody needs to have dairy. I am not saying you need to have dairy to live and function in a healthy way. That's not the conversation we're having, but that it is safe. Both Brandon and I have regularly consumed raw dairy, and look, here we are, bright and shiny, not dead, not full of infections, not having constant diarrhea, right? Like, actually digestive function has improved by having raw food.
Exactly.
So I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier when you were on that orchard cannabis farm in California. You talked about learning mechanics and building things. I'm really curious about the health benefits of using your hands to do things. I spend a lot of time on the computer. I cook and I bake because that gives me that hand to connection. You should see my garden. Thumbs down. Garden did not do well. New year in the yard. We have, you got the soil, you got to rejuvenate it, and it takes time. And we're just haven't put that much time. But let's talk about building stuff with hands and how that has affected you.
Well, okay. So I started in California. I really started like actually learning how to build fences, just do little minor repairs. But then when I moved to Georgia, that's when I really started like I was the fence repair guy, and then my boss had been building houses for 20 years. He was a construction guy. So he taught me all this stuff with fixing the chicken houses, fixing the goat pen, fixing and actually being able to build things with wood and craft them. So what that did for me is one, it actually helped expand my mind. And what I mean is, like, now when, like, say I'm looking out right here, I can look at stuff, and if I see a problem, I'm more able to like think, oh, this is how I can fix it, and this is how I can do it. As before, like, maybe I wouldn't see a solution. But now I've done so many things with my hands, like different projects and working with my hands, that so mentally that's one of the benefits, is it expands your mind to be able to problem solve, I believe. And it's not just in the physical, like just situational also. And then the actual physical benefits of that is it's different movements. And this would come from my athletic training background and why I think like this, because I used to do physical therapy for people, and all this is the reason I believe office jobs can be deteriorating is, one, we're sitting so much, but two, it's the same movements, the same position, the same thing all day, and you're not getting. Well, when I'm out on the farm, it is not the same movements, man. Like, I'm doing different stuff every day. Of course, there's stuff I do the same every day, but I'm just moving in different ways, using different muscles in the forearms, the shoulders. Like, I'm really getting a diverse, like, movement pattern, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just good for the body. And then just physical labor in general. Like, right now it's 105 degrees out here where I'm sitting. Yeah. So I'm sweating, like but it actually feels good to me. I like good to sweat and be out in the sun, and all the benefits of being in the sun, and like all that. So that's just a general overview of what I think, the physical labor, what you're getting out of it,
So it teaches
and
you
maybe you have
troubleshooting
some stuff to
skills.
add.
Yeah,
Yeah.
troubleshooting is a huge one, like giving you another perspective on things. And I'm not like a builder by any means, but like if I'm working with someone that can show me how to do those things, I'm pretty easy to like organize myself to using. Whatever did I just say there? I am a quick learner, and like it's helpful for me to have someone orient to help me understand what's going on here. And I think you're totally right. I mean, this is why people practice yoga and other types of movement, because it gives them another perspective to look at the world through, as opposed to I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to stay in this position and I have carpal tunnel in both wrists. I'm going to get surgery here and surgery here, and guess what? I still have carpal tunnel. I'm still doing the same motion. Yeah, critical thinking, someone said. Exactly. Like, when you use your hands, you problem solve on your feet. You're not just sitting there like, oh, like, what did I learn in that textbook? It's like, I've got to see and mesh this into the tart pan. It's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, is like putting the tart crust in the tart pan.
I think about the critical thinking piece. I'm glad someone brought that up. Is like the thing with being on a farm and the labor I do is, sometimes we get surprises, and not sometimes. Like, it feels like every day we get surprises. So I'll be sitting on the porch, and all of a sudden I see an animal walking by. I'm like, you're not supposed to be there. So it's just like all of a sudden I'm like in alert mode. It's like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta do this. Or I hear like a doe like literally screaming. Like and female goats are called does, so people know. But I hear like a doe screaming, and I gotta run. Like, I gotta go. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just gotta go. And I get there, and I'm like, what do I do? So
what's going on?
Quickly thinking, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, someone commented you get to learn new things, and that helps to create new neuronal pathways. Absolutely. And our brain is absolutely plastic. And I don't care if you're 8 years old. I don't care if you're 80 years old. The brain is very pliable and can help us relearn. If you don't believe me, listen to Andrew Huberman's podcast on neuroplasticity. He's a neuroscientist. He's way smarter than I am. And he has great information on how to create new neuronal secrets. And I'm not saying office jobs are bad, but like, both Brandon and I are sitting outside. I'm sitting on my porch. I work from home a lot. I also have an office where I see my patients. And I actually sometimes wonder if it would behoove my patients that are chronically ill to go for a walk with me in the middle of the heat of the day, as opposed to sitting in my office with a window that barely lets any light in an over air conditioned building, right? The health benefits of being outside are numerous.
Yeah. That sounds amazing, actually. Hey, talking about being outside, I'll show you. Well, no, my feet are kind of gross, but I walk around in the dirt and everything. But I'm wearing sandals right now that have like a copper plug in them.
Oh,
basically,
grounding.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So they're called Earth Runners. I bought them a few years ago, but I actually wear sandals on the farm. People might think, oh, he has to wear boots. I actually wear sandals on the farm. Okay. It's actually really cool. They keep me grounded while I work. I've noticed benefits for myself, just more calmness throughout the day. But it's just, man, the benefits of being outside, the sun, the sun on your skin, the feet on the grass, like being connected to the earth. And then the fresh air piece you were just talking about, like your window barely lets any air. Like I really believe there's this thing of like the reason people are so sick, just one of the reasons, a big reason is 90% of the day, 90% of our time is spent indoors.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind when I saw that statistic. I was like, there's no way. But then I think about how different my lifestyle is from most people. So it's just wild, man.
Well,
Like
and
we can just get outdoors.
we're inside, and not only are we inside, not with our windows open, because maybe we live in LA. I don't. Good for people who live in LA. I'm not dogging it there, but I'm talking about the pollution. Okay, and then the EPA says that the pollution that's in our indoor space is worse than outside because we've got those Febreze, the Sensi's, the candles, the laundry detergents, the softeners, the blah blah blah, all that garbage stuff that's very expensive and so deleterious on our health.
Yeah.
We wonder why fertility is 50% of what it was 30 years ago. I don't wonder. The data's there. And if you question, there's an endocrinologist that's on here, the hormone specialist. He puts out great information. And I also really love that he's just so like stoic in his presentation. Like, endocrinologists are notorious for being not open-minded to things. And the fact that there is somebody of his generation on here sharing what he sees.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah, man. It's interesting. I got a new roommate, so that's part of my internship. I had to share a house with the other worker.
Co-working space.
Yeah, co-working basically in living space, but she uses all those fragrances you talk about. So we actually had to have like a rule in the house, no fragrances, because like what you were just saying, I know it's a hormone disruptor, and I taste the chemical, so I smell and I taste chemical on my tongue.
Totally.
So that's how long I haven't used fragrances, which is like 4 or 5 years I've stopped using stuff.
You know, it's really interesting because I have friends that are like, oh, you're just overreacting, or oh, you're just sensitive. No, once you stop using these products, you will become aware of them because we've become habituated. So it's like, think about grandma that sprays 10 sprays of her perfume on herself, and you know she sprayed 10 sprays, but she doesn't because she can't smell it anymore because our brain is so smart. It says, that's not a warning for us. We know what that smell is. We know she sprayed it on herself. Like, it's fine. We don't need to be aware of it. Like, we have all of these sensors in our body to like, our brain is lazy is really what it comes down to. It says, hey, I already recognize this. I don't care. We're going to save space for something that's actually an emergency so we can be aware of, because we are using our senses at all times. Uses essential oils. Yes. Essential oils are fine. I think, again, like you get into these MLM companies and they're talking about essential oils for this. There's oil for everything. And I was there. I'm not dogging it totally, but I can speak from experience. You don't need to have something fragrance in your house. Open your damn windows. Let a good cross breeze go when it's not 105. And let the breeze clear out the toxins from just like sleeping. Hang your clothes to hang out on a clothesline. It does wonders for the smell, and you really get that fresh air smell as opposed to the fake chemical whatever scent they put that claims is whatever.
Yeah, man. I think that's great, and I think I would challenge people to really commit to like doing a detox of fragrances. I've never said that before, but that sounds good. Just like literally a detox of all fragrances, and see what happens in a week or two. Like maybe like when you start to smell it again, you'll know what I mean by that chemical taste, or that like off-putting, like, you know what I mean? So anybody listening, if you want to try that,
I fully agree. I was in college when I did this, so it's been about 12, 13, 14 years now. I had severe asthma as a kid. I had a nebulizer, I had 2 inhalers, I had an Advair disc, I had Singulair, I had all this stuff. Sure, bake some cookies for a good smell. Like, I hear you, but also like I don't want to hear the excuses. Like, it's either or pick your poison, because also like sometimes I have a margarita. I know it's not good for me, but it feels good in the moment. So like, pick your poison. If that's really what you want, that's great, but it's also like secondhand smoke. Yeah, I get it. Memories for sure. But going back to like the just choosing not to, even for a week, just put it away for a week and see what happens. Actually, that's not going to be long enough, because I'll tell you, I buy clothes sometimes at thrift stores, and those shirts, I still have a shirt that smells and I have had it for like 6 years. Still smells like Tide.
Oh my
And I've
God.
done
Dude,
vinegar, vodka soaks, laying in the sun. That's usually what I do, is like have it sit outside for 3 to 6 months,
yeah.
and then I'm like, fine.
Is it a
No,
polyester or
it's
is
actually a
that just
silk shirt. It's like totally. I went to
huh?
like a grandma like thrift store, like one of those ones for like hospice
Yeah.
care, whatever. And it's a beautiful shirt. And occasionally, just right, the fabric will go just so, and it'll like poof a little bit of it. That stuff
That's
stays. It
wild.
stays for a long
Yeah.
time. Like these are long-lasting plastic-based chemicals. Anyway, we've talked about that.
Ah,
I
yeah.
want to hear about what you think the value of doing mundane tasks. So I haven't lived on a farm in a few years, but I've worked on a few and done wolfing when I was in
Mhm.
undergrad. And one of the things that I found that I had to find myself not be upset about was the mundane tasks. Go wash
Mm.
the eggs, go clean up the chicken barn, like these simple things that were just like over and over tasks that got to get done. They're required. No one loves to do them. But I started
Yeah.
thinking about them in the like, that's the best form of meditation right there. When you can
Yeah.
find the joy in doing those things that are just like repetitive, mundane, got to get done. No one loves them, but got to get done.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll tell you a mindset shift I had to have because how we grow up in our society is fast paced, right? You got to go, go, go. You got to get stuff done. So when you start doing these mundane tasks, it's like, well, what else could I be doing? This seems pointless. This is stupid. So one mindset shift I had to have, because you're right, this is mundane task. Like I have to feed the animals every single day. I have to check their water. I have to do the same stuff over and
Yeah.
over. So the mindset shift is one is thinking about how important my task actually is, because it is. These
Yeah.
animals will die. These animals will literally die, like if I leave them how they
Yeah.
are. Um, and then the second one is just that I don't have to be go, go, go. I don't know how to put it in exact words, but one of my mottos for life is to take life slow. And I really mean that because like I feel like not enough people take the time to slow down and enjoy the moment. So like a butterfly just flew by me
Oh,
because I'm very present in this moment. I'm very aware what's going on and I'm just taking it in. And that really brought a smile to my face. That little butterfly came by. So same thing when I'm feeding is paying attention with the wind blowing, the trees. I say the trees are speaking to me when the wind is blowing. That's just
I
part
love
of
that
what I
sound.
believe.
It's one of my favorite sounds. I don't know if there's a word for it, so if
Yeah.
someone on here is a wordsmith knows, because there's got to be a word for it.
Yeah, man. So I love that stuff, and it's just enjoying the beauty of the present moment. And I want to make this abundantly clear. I'm not a professional at it, but I have this like mindset that I want to be that way. So I continually practice at taking action on it, and it just feels so good. So yeah, that's what I would say is one, remembering the importance of your task and assigning meaning to it, and then two is just yeah, you don't need to go, go, go. Slow down in life. It'll be all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's totally okay. And the importance, but also you talked about it's a mindset shift and you're not where you want to be, but it's about building on that and say, so I
Yeah,
do dishes, I cook most of my meals at home from scratch, and I work
nice.
and, right? But the dishes are never ending. They're a daily task. If I don't do them for a day, what a freaking nightmare, right? But it's about pushing the wheelbarrow and not thinking about pushing the wheelbarrow. It's about, you know, feeling my feet on the ground, looking out the window, which was a requirement when we bought our house, was I needed a
Yeah,
window over the sink so I didn't feel boxed in, because this is a task that has to be done. It's important. We get
yeah,
to
man.
nourish ourselves. We have the privilege of nourishing ourselves. And, you know, that's the kind of the way I think about it. It's the greatest meditation ever. And everybody thinks you got to sit and be all weird, kinked legs and, you know, clear your mind. That's not how
Yeah,
meditation works. It's such a misnomer. It really is about just bringing yourself back. I don't need to rush
yeah,
through this. Go through this process, and really doing the dishes takes like 7 minutes at the end of the day. Like 7 minutes is no time at all. And
yeah,
feeding the goats, I don't know how many goats they have, but I can't imagine it takes an hour. It probably takes like 15 minutes at the most.
yeah. Well, it takes like 30,
Okay,
but
but
you were
still
close.
30 minutes out of 24 hours.
Yeah, man. And it's cool. I love that you talked about putting the window over your dishes. So you're mentally preparing, like, okay, this is going to be a mundane task. How can I make this like more enjoyable for myself? Put a window here. I can be looking out the window. That's love. I love that, man. And the whole meditation has to be sitting. I do walking meditation. So I talked about my sandals, like keep me grounded. Well, I can also feel the earth because of how thin they are. So while I'm walking, I'm meditating. I'm feeling every little step.
Yeah.
That's mindfulness. That's meditation. That's like just paying attention to the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends, he said vacuuming is also a great meditative task. I mean, it's one of those sound dissipating things, right? I could totally see
Yeah.
that. What else? I wanted to talk about so I know we have different ways of eating, I'm sure, but the difference
Yeah.
between farm and ranch fresh produce and animal products compared to going to the grocery store, even if they source and it's organic, but it's still that stuff that was harvested 3 weeks ago and it's been sitting on the shelf for
Yeah.
how long versus, my friend just gave me some lettuce from her garden that she harvested yesterday. Delicious. It's so much fresher. And like
Yeah,
the
man.
vibrancy, you can see the vibrance in the bowls sitting next to each other. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So okay, so yeah, talking on farm fresh products. Whoop, there we go. So talking about farm fresh products, this interesting thought came to mind because there's these concepts I'm learning about. This may sound oversimplified to people because a lot of times I don't like to go into the science because I don't find it necessary.
It's too much.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's too much, and if observation is sometimes all you need. So when I observe around me, what's everything trying to do that is green? Even humans, what are we trying to do? We're trying to capture light. We're trying to capture sunlight. So everything that we eat is a result of something trying to capture sunlight. So, for example, our Dexter cows we got. What are they eating? They're eating grass, they're eating forage. What is that forage doing? It's capturing sunlight. So the more ability it has to capture that light, the more energy and nutrients that it gives to the cow. So what I call it is light energy. And once you kill something, that light energy begins to leave. So you can even go like garden produce. You pick that tomato or whatever off the vine, the lettuce, the light begins to leave. Now there's ways that we can like help it hold on to it and not decay so fast. But if the sooner you eat it, the more light energy you're getting. So that's the way I like to think
Yeah.
about it is light energy, man.
Yeah.
And you're right about the flavor too. Like because the nutrients are staying in there, the fresher it is, like you're gonna taste that. And yeah, so if you can go to a farmer's market instead of a store, if you can go to the farm and actually buy the food, it's going to be better. It's going to be fresh. You're going to get more nutrients and you're going to enjoy it more too. I really like to hone in on that is fresh food is more flavorful.
Oh my God, so
And
much more
then,
flavorful.
yeah, and then food that has captured more light because it's able to, because it has all the nutrients in the soil, all the stuff, that's a whole nother topic, tastes better too. Your body tastes nutrients. Like your tongue is like, I believe, is tasting different nutrients, and that's why certain things are more flavorful. So
Yeah.
that's what I got on that.
I think about it as like the vital force, and that's probably because of my naturopathic background, but it's the same. It's the energy. It's the thing that makes us be able to recognize a living plant versus a dead plant. What is that?
Yeah.
What's a crispy plant versus my plant that's sitting right here? I'm growing a castor bean plant because I have a love affair with castor oil because it's such a good medicinal plant. I wanted to
Yeah.
understand how this plant grows. Here, let me show you
Okay.
guys.
Heck
So
yeah.
I grew it from its little bean, and
Oh,
can you see it?
nice.
There it is. There it
Yeah.
is. And it's actually a poisonous plant, but the oil that you can get out of it is incredibly anti-inflammatory, and I use it for balancing
Yeah.
hormones, digestive function, and we do it topically over the liver as opposed to internally. Like some of our
Interesting.
grandparents might know this as like a constipation aid.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, it's just, and I agree with you. Like when we get bogged down in the details, and I love a good dirty detail in the science world, but I also understand that we have access to so much information. And I've had patients this week that were like, I think I have this, and this because I looked up these symptoms, and I think that that's what it is, and I want to help myself. And I was like, and how's that serving you? Well, I'm really anxious because I think I might have cancer. And I was like, okay, well, you know, sometimes more information is not helpful. And I'm learning
Yeah.
that as well. It's like, I don't always need to have the answer. What does it feel like in my body? You know, and
Yes.
I talked about this with those freaking watches people wear. Oh my God. I feel like I slept so good, but my watch told me I only slept 73% last night. So I must have only
Yeah,
slept
yeah,
73%. Or I slept like crap, but my watch tells me I got 100% recovery. Okay, but
yeah.
listen to your body. Like, why are we so discombobulated from everything? Like, that's one of the benefits of farming, is it helps us to tune into the moment. And anything you
Yes.
can do to support someone locally and not have to pay, you know, you're buying a share of raw dairy. You are bypassing the government's tax system. You are helping support a human being instead of Kroger, which is a giant corporation, which I'm not against shopping.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do it, but wouldn't it be nice to put your money in your neighbor's pocket instead of in wherever that goes to corporation wise?
Yeah. And this comes to a big point, is that like these little farms, like the one I'm on and the ones I've worked on, will not survive if the community does not support it. I mean, that's why we have community supported agriculture, CSAs, people can join and stuff. But seriously, like when you think about, yes, I agree it's more expensive right now,
It is
but
right now.
that's because of the model that, you know, that the US follows and the whole world follows. But if we can vote with our forks, and I mean like the food you buy is voting for what you want to see in the future. Every time you buy that, every time you make a choice to do that, you're supporting a change in our entire
Yep.
system. And you're supporting a family. Honestly, like she just pulled up the owner, but she's got her husband and a 3-year-old daughter that she's trying to support with this farm.
Yeah.
So every time you buy from a small farm, you're supporting a little family, you know. So,
Oh, it's so
anyways, that's what
great.
I got on that.
Everybody should do at least go to the farmers market. And if finances is a hard thing for you, in the United States, we have a program for people that have EBT, double a bucks. And a lot of times
Yeah.
there's a grant, you can get 10, 20 bucks, and it's free for people that have EBT, you know, free taxpayers dollars, grants, you know, it's
Yeah.
free money, extra money to support you in buying local produce, supporting your community, creating a community economy, as opposed to sending your money to these corporations that aren't local at all. And again, not anti-corporation, just like let's keep money in our where we live. So we're supporting humans.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important, is to keeping the money in the communities. That's something we're all about here,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I don't get paid in cash a lot by my patients, but when I do, I really try to make a concerted effort to buy locally. And there was a farm, Honey Acres, that's near here, and I was buying a big box of asparagus, and I literally took my money
Hmm.
my patient just gave me, and I gave it to that lady. And I was like, this feels like
Nice.
the best thing ever. And it feels like it's a lot, but you know, let's use the example of buying an alcoholic drink. How much is
Yeah.
the most you've ever paid for an alcoholic drink? $17 for one freaking drink. And we want to bitch about how much it costs to buy a pound of zucchini from this local farm that's down the street. I
Yeah.
just like, that is not acceptable in my brain. Like, vegetables should
Yeah.
be dirt cheap, but then you're willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money for that shot. How does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Hey, here's another mind blower. I was listening to another farmer about this, and how actually, like, so our grass-fed, grass-finished beef is like $9 a pound,
Oh
right?
my gosh, that's
Okay.
so
So
reasonable.
so people think that, and back in Georgia, by the way, it was $7 a pound. So that's just because Georgia, you know, cheaper living.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you compare the price of a bag of potato chips and the price of a $9 a pound of ground beef, you would think like the value pack of potato chips is cheap, right? No, you're actually paying more, and especially when you get it down to the nutrients you're actually getting,
Yeah.
then you are literally just throwing money away when you buy that bag of chips, or like a processed, like, you know, food in a box or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you're just throwing money away.
I mean,
And that little mindset shift really makes you think like, oh, I'm actually not spending that much.
no. And
So
you
yeah,
just made me think about my potato chips. I like to get Boulder's olive oil potato chips. That's my like junk food
nice.
choice that I love. It's
Yeah,
$3 when it's on sale for 5 ounces of chips. A pound is
Exactly.
16 ounces.
Yeah.
So that would be what, 6, 9? It would be more expensive to buy a pound of potato chips than it would be to buy a pound of beef that's going to give me a
Yeah.
breakfast and lunch.
Exactly, man.
Are there any
Yes.
movies that we would recommend? I mean, Kiss the Earth with Woody Harrelson. I really enjoyed
Oh
that one. Most
man, it's
farming
so
movies are
good.
pretty sad, unfortunately. That one was the most
So
inspirational.
so Netflix, I don't know if they've taken it down. I haven't had Netflix in years, but Little Big
Oh,
Farm,
that's a good one.
it was so emotional for me. Like 5 years ago, I watched it, or 4 years ago, or something. And it's amazing. They transformed the land. And I won't give stuff away, but it's about a family, just like yeah, transforming land and
Yeah.
healing the land. It's really really
Yeah,
beautiful.
Kiss the Earth and Little Big Farm. I'm so glad you brought that one up. It's been a while since I've seen it as well, but it's a permaculture.
Yeah, it's
Permaculture,
permaculture
yeah,
and regenerative
and
agriculture
regenerative
all mixed
ag.
in.
So I kind of
Hmm.
will will rally for the regenerative ag, and people say that it's white supremacy, but here's the thing. It's indigenous ways, like indigenous ways. I don't care what
Mm,
flavor you want to call it. It's just like, I don't care how we get there, as long as we are supporting the systems of the earth. And that's what regenerative ag is.
yeah,
That's what indigenous communities are. Like, I have some background working with a Lakota elder, and it's about
nice.
connecting and relationships and collective community, as opposed to, oh, there's some bugs, better go kill them. But why are those
Yeah,
bugs
yeah,
there? Those bugs are there to build tunnels in the soil to make it less that's the problem we had in our garden: pill bugs and earwigs. But they don't have any food.
yeah,
If
man.
we had food for them to eat, they wouldn't
Yeah,
have
they
gone
wouldn't be
to
all
my,
over that.
exactly, they wouldn't have eaten
Yeah.
my plants. So it's like, why are they here? Here's the problem. I could go murder them with glyphosate, but then I would also be in turn murdering the earth and murdering myself.
Don't do it.
I'm
Don't do it.
definitely not
Uh,
going to do it. We're gonna get some buckwheat down so that they can start eating that, and maybe my one
oh,
tomato
nice.
plant will live out of everything I planted.
Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, I found I did tomatoes for the first time like 2 years ago or something, like on my own, and I learned so many lessons about bugs. Like
Oh,
it,
I bet.
like it's tough, man. And and that also helps me have an understanding of why we chose to use chemicals, because when you spray it seems like a miracle, right? So it's like a
Uh-huh.
quick fix. But then, it's just like pharmaceuticals. It's a quick fix, but a long term, a lot of bad stuff. But with this whole I think you were talking about indigenous, I call it indigenous
Yeah.
wisdom. All it is, truly all it is, it you can look at it like they're just doing certain practices, but what they're really doing is just they are connected to the wisdom of the land. They're able to read the land. I like calling it to be able to read the land. So what is this tree that's behind this camera or right here? What's it telling me? Well, when I look at it, there's some spots on there that are brown. There's some things that are happening. I can look at it, I can read it, and I can be like, oh, it's telling me, hey, I'm not getting the nutrients I need. I'm actually kind of lonely, and that tree really is lonely. It doesn't have the mulch it needs. It doesn't have the neighbors it needs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's smaller than it should be, and there's some dead spots
Yeah.
on it. So that's what I mean is like connecting to like what the land is telling you,
Totally.
and that that's really what regenerative ag is pushing for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least the
Working
way
Yeah, working
I
with the
hold it.
systems. I mean, I just was saying this too. I was like, oh, we have an old apple tree. We bought a house in January and we just moved here, and we're kind of getting used to what is on the property. And the apple tree, I was like, dang, it's got a fungus. Well,
Yeah.
there's too many trees that are too close to it, and it's overarching it. It's not getting
Hmm.
nutrients. The people that lived here previously were definitely not outside people. They destroyed the entire yard. No plants that were here previously and made it, except for those that were already really hardy and had good root systems. It
Yeah.
really is. It's about
Yeah.
listening to the nonverbal cues. And, we're so, got to listen to my podcast, got to listen to the news, got to listen to the music, we never get a chance to just sit and observe. My
Yeah.
husband's a water guy, river guy. And if you've ever been on the river, in order to do it safely so you're not going to get hurt, you have to understand how to read. And then if you want to fish and catch a fish, foam is home for trout, and they usually are in spots that are a little bit like more of an eddy, a little more of turbulent water,
Ah.
and they sit
Yeah.
in there. And by learning to read that, you understand the nonverbal cues. I will often say, my husband makes fun of me, oh, she talks to trees. It's not that I talk to trees, it's that I can listen. And that was one of the
Yeah.
beautiful things about COVID happening when I was still in Seattle was all of a sudden a very busy city went totally silent. No more airplanes, no more traffic on the highway. And I was still
Ah,
commuting
that's
because I was
awesome.
working at a clinic, and the trees had this vibrancy that I had not seen since I was a kid. And I
Yeah.
lived in a rural area in New Mexico when I was a kiddo, but I had never seen these trees on my drive, my everyday commute, have this, like, the aura, their vibrancy. It was like
Mm,
huge. And they were pleased to have, you know, a gazillion less airplanes flying over them, dropping jet fuel on them, so they can
yeah.
actually start to capture more of that light, less of the smog, more light, less pollution.
Man,
I know we're all doing the
that's
best we can.
amazing.
It's
That,
freaking amazing.
yeah.
It was a cool experience to have. Yeah. It's like being
That's
in the
beautiful,
woods
man.
where there's no satellites and you have no cell phone service,
Hmm.
and you're up in the mountains, the air is really thin, you're sitting at like 10,000 feet, and all of a sudden you're just like, these trees are happy and healthy because
Yeah,
no humans are polluting and destroying the land. And I'm not saying humans all need to
man.
die, but we need to start making better choices. Instead of me polluting the soil with poison, I'm listening to the fact
Yeah.
that they need food. And that's what we're going to do. We're going
Yeah.
to take care of them. And that's the purpose and the value of being on a farm, is the lessons. And even if you don't have a farm, you have a single pot to grow one plant in.
Yeah,
This
man.
one plant you will learn a lot of lessons from. And people are like, oh, you have a green thumb. You know how many plants I've killed this year alone? You know how many plants I've killed in my life? Hundreds,
Yeah,
dozens, thousands, hundreds of
exactly.
thousands, I'm sure. Yeah, I really appreciate you
That's great.
joining me, Brandon.
Yeah,
We talked about the
yeah,
benefits of raw milk, working with your hands to increase problem solving and critical skills. We talked about fragrances and how they are very problematic for us. Yes, they bring back memories, but are those memories worth the negative health consequences? For me, no, but maybe for you they are, and that's okay. That's your choice.
yeah.
And also listening to the land and how regenerative ag is very much indigenous wisdom. I'm not claiming it as mine, but it is the language of the universe. And it's a privilege to be aware that this exists and that we can actually tune in without words and look, observe, and find the solutions that we are looking for to these climate issues that we're having, right? If we just listen a little bit better, we will see the solutions. And it starts with one choice. Stop using those poisons. Listen to the trees. The tree has fungus. Maybe the trees need to trim. Like, whatever it is, like, we can find those answers. And there's beauty in the mundane.
Man, that was so well said. I can tell you do some of these lives and videos a lot more than me.
People like the synopsis says, like, I'm getting better about it. It's practice, practice,
Yeah,
practice. But
that was
farming is
great.
something that's a big passion for mine. And, I've realized I may be not a farmer because I don't want to work in 105 degrees, because you're working every
Whew.
day, sun up to sundown. Maybe you get a siesta, but it's a lot of hard work, and I respect the fuck out of farmers. And I've done it. It's not for me, but I will take my money and I will put it to you guys, because I know you guys are working hard. The backbone of this country.
Cool, man. Hey, I really appreciate you having me on here, and I appreciate your words too, man. That's always good to
Yeah.
hear as someone trying to have my own farm.
Yeah.
Like, there's people out there who want it. So,
Yep.
anyways,
Thank you so much.
yeah,
Thank you, everybody, for joining in and asking questions. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
cool. Peace out.
Bye.